Never, never, never die. 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 Never die.
Fuck you. It is Tuesday, 5:49 a.m. And you might be wondering, what the fuck am I doing up so early? Well, I got a special guest from across the United States. It's actually almost 9 o'clock his time. So, it's a little less early for him, but I'm glad to have him on. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Robbie, and I'm East Coast, son. East Coast, West Coast right now. We're doing the time zone difference.
That's it. Robbie is from Out of the Blank, and I was just recently on his podcast, and this guy, over 600 episodes. That's nothing to scoff at. That is really chasing the dream. That is making shit happen. That is really getting shit done. That's the definition by me. And the reason it is because that just doesn't fucking happen. I'm at 400 episodes, and I've been doing this almost 4 years, and you blow past me. And you just don't have regular, like I do short podcasts because I'm in your face. People can only take so fucking much, especially with my fucking loud fucking voice and the popping in their fucking stereos or earbuds, whatever they're doing, because I know I peaked the fucking mics. I try to adjust it, but it doesn't fucking matter.
You capture the essence of like what people are thinking when they have that in traffic rage, which I love so much. Because like when I'm hearing you talking about this, finally a person that knows the definition of, first of all, the word fuck. I mean, not only dropping it as like just with the emphasis, the impact of it, but some people using like, are you angry? Are you upset? I'm like, no, it's just a way of expressing myself because I can't find a better word that's better than that.
Exactly. And that's one of those things too, is like most people don't know that I sprinkle in it. When I'm at work, I'm 100% professional. In the definition, I'm a model fucking worker. The reason is because I understand the difference of me being at work, me getting paid, and me handling business. And then when I'm at home, guess the fuck what? I don't give a fuck. I don't give I sprinkle it on everything because it makes it taste better.
So that's what they mean when they call it the spice of life. They
Exactly.
Sprinkle that in there. All right.
But it's just crazy, it just seems to work extremely well, especially in the way I speak and the way I talk. So most people don't even fucking like notice it anymore. So, what I'm saying? At least I like to think. And then those who happen to wander into this podcast, but what the fuck?
It's sometimes you have to like catch yourself because like I've only been a guest on like a couple like shows before, but like I know sometimes like we're PC and you can hear me in some of those episodes where I'll go to say like a cuss word and then I'll be like, all right, and I'll switch it to like a normal one, but it's like halfway through. It's like sometimes you got to remember, but it's just so part of like I do it without even realizing I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like I'll be having a conversation with a family member just going off, and then like if I go to my grandparents' house, they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, they sound like you're from Boston. I'm like, I'm not from Boston. I'm just I openly express. I believe that they cure what we call micro fractures of stress.
Yeah.
Which is like when you drop something and it breaks and you
Yeah.
say shit.
Yeah.
Like that already makes it so you're not holding it in.
Yep.
When the person breaks like a glass bowl, they go, and then they hold that in for the rest of the day.
Exactly.
No, curse, do something to release that.
Yeah.
So you're not taking it out on some random person in a store.
And it is true. It is true as hell that most people don't do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like you said, they hold that frustration in, they hold that anger in. And when they could have just been like, vent. And then guess what? Into the fucking conversation.
And they wonder why the person like shot up a store or something. It's like, yeah, because the person was pent up with stress. We're already suppressed as people enough.
Exactly.
I feel like nobody's really doing what they honestly really want to do. That's why I look at it. I'm like, you got to let it out somewhere, man. And whether it's crying in a pillow or whether it's just saying an F word because they didn't have your box of animal crackers.
Which is true. And that's one of those things too, is like, as a society, we're so suppressed because we have to be PC. We have to go by these gender roles, these gender things. And that PC is something that I do not live with. I do not sustain to. I fucking could care less about anybody else's feelings or my emotions, because if you ain't paying me, you ain't helping me, you ain't with me, you ain't part of my family, I could give a fuck less of your feelings. No one says that I have to care. No one says that I need to care. The world doesn't give a fuck about anybody and their feelings about that kind of shit. And I hate that the suppression that helps that hinders people doesn't let them expand. You know what I'm saying? It's just so I see it so much, and
I gotta fight a couple sides on this, only on the aspect of like I agree with you 100% because I think the true definition of what it comes down to is do you have love in your heart? You
yeah,
know, you can crack comedy, for instance. That whole community is being ravaged just on the concept of what you can say and what you can't say because people feel like you need to. But here's the weird thing about comedy back in the day, if somebody was funny, if it was a woman comedian that was cracking a joke on TV and you laughed, you didn't have that thought in your head that went, huh, I'm so PC. I laughed at a woman comic. But that's the trend now. And it's
yep,
like you just, everything you've been fighting for has gone the complete opposite way where people are either afraid to crack a joke or it's just this whole idea of like, I feel so much better because I'm doing what was supposed to be right. I'm cracking a joke on it. I'm like, you saying that is what you're fighting against. It doesn't
yep,
make sense. And I've talked to astrophysicists, I've talked to people with PhDs, and they all talk about how the hardest thing is their science is being questioned. Any case study they're doing is being questioned. If you mention anything about gender, you're done.
yeah,
Game over. And I've talked to historians that talk about every single fall of humanity and every single civilization from dynasties to anything throughout our history where you've seen literally that whole entire community, city, whatever crash has all been on the conflict, the final fight of gender. Whenever we get to that point is when a society falls. And I'm like, there's parts because I've had transgenders on before. I have friends that are like that. And I said, and I try my best to make sure I'm PC and I'm correcting and I'm making them feel valued as well, too. But I remember one of them posted on Facebook something about a sign that said, masks are not like your gender. We don't switch or something like that. It was
yeah,
something that was like a really crappy joke. And it
yeah,
was like, all right, but you understood there was no like harsh intent to it. They were trying to
yeah,
make funny out of a bad situation that
yeah,
everybody's complaining about masks. And then the person took that, put it up on their Facebook and had every single one of their friends comment and I mean just bash this page to the point where the business closed down.
yeah,
And I was like, hang on a second, understand that's a really crappy joke. And if you're taking that much offense to that, I don't think you should look at it that way. But the
yeah,
humor line has been drawn because everyone's so conflicted of are they serious? Are they not? Which makes it crappy for people like you and me that want to crack a joke of like, oh, just say something off the top of our head that's stupid. And it's a joke, but they don't see it that way because
yeah,
they're so mixed up by the media as anger. I'm like, it's not anger. If I crack a joke saying, like I don't like I'm a cracker, whatever, something that's so stupid. It's a joke, but some
yeah.
people will be like, you're shaming yourself. It's like you can't do that.
No,
You
yeah.
can't.
The
What?
people are making it so you can't win anymore too. That's one of those things. They're like, well, and like the thing is like I said, I'm not a huge podcast. I'm not a huge YouTuber, so it's like trying to deplatform somebody who doesn't have anything. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm shutting down a business. I'm doing all this stuff, and it drives me nuts because I see it in the society so much, and it's fucking just it's ridiculous. But I'm gonna kind of detour here. Before the Corona started hitting, I actually started doing comedy. Yeah, I started back in February. Um, I did my first. Oh, I did about 3 or 4 open mics, and then I ended up getting invited to do an actual like comedy show at like that wasn't it wasn't an open mic place. It wasn't a fucking. It was a place called Tommy T's Comedy Club. It was like the greats. A lot of the greats come to this comedy club to do stuff. I seen Ari Spears. Um, I saw the dad from I can't remember his name right now. Dad from Friday. Um, who else did I
Oh,
see?
hang on a second. That's a reference I have to go back to. A Dad from Friday, like the Freaky Friday one.
No, no, no. The movie Friday with Ice Cube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he
John
recently
Witherspoon's.
passed.
John
Yeah, John
Witherspoon's. Yeah,
Witherspoon. He
yeah.
recently passed.
I couldn't remember the name off the tip of my tongue, but like, it's just one of those comedy clubs, like the Wayne's brothers. I'm like, there's so many great comics that come to this show. You know what I'm saying? And or go to that place to perform. And like I said, three open mics up, and I got invited to do like an actual like legit comedy show with like 4 other guys, and I was like, this is fucking crazy, man.
What's
I'm
your
really
strong arm bit? What's that one bit that you got? Come on, let me hear it.
no, I do a whole bunch of dick jokes. And I also do a lot of jokes on just how I look because I know how I look is very intimidating. And like when I go on stage, I'm wearing a sleeveless shirt, I'm wearing shorts, got my hat on, and it usually I'm a presence that cannot be not noticed. And so because of that, I always play off of that. But I have a small Toyota Tacoma that I used to drive all the time, and it's still parked in the front. I still have it, but I would just make a dick joke about how, like, big guys drive big trucks, have small dicks. Well, I got a small truck, so you know what that fucking means.
So, I mean, I was for a brief time was writing just like because I think my comedy I love so much is all about storytelling too, and eventually I was just saying stuff in podcasts where people are like you should turn that into a bit, like my doctor trying to get me into porn bit, and then
Yeah,
it's like I didn't figure out until I was 22 that Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson weren't the same person, just because I'm not a big basketball guy, but I'm at work and I'm like I live in Ocean City, so we have this thing called the White Marlin Open, which is
yeah.
like a giant fishing tournament. So Michael Jordan comes down here on his boat and he goes fishing here. And I heard, and this was like, I was first year on the podcast. I was like, you know how awesome it would be to be able to talk to Michael Jordan?
Exactly.
And I was like, I want to ask him so many questions. People are like, what questions would you ask him? I was like, what was it like to be the first guy in the NBA to have AIDS? All the players that were staying away from you. And a whole bunch of people are just looking at me like,
Like,
are
dude,
you kidding me?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm like, what? I was like, you know how hard that had to be, the stress levels that he had to go through just because, he had this disease that we don't even really know how to cure yet. And the fact that he's still alive. And they're like, dude, that's Magic Johnson. I'm like, MJ. Oh my God. So the guy from Space Jam doesn't have AIDS. And it was like this whole like opening
Yeah,
up type thing.
yeah. That is pretty funny though. um, but that's one of those things too. Is like I always played with the idea of doing open mics. I always played with um the thing of being a comic because the most of us we all listen to Joe Rogan, and I was listening to Joe Rogan in like the beginning days, and he would talk about doing comedy and how good it felt and like all these emotions and like and I listened to all their shows. I listened to their comedy. I seen Joe Rogan twice. I've seen I haven't seen Tom Segura yet, but I've seen Bert Kreischer quite a few times. I've seen Tony Hinchcliffe quite a few times, and Brian, from Death Squad. I've seen all, like I said, I've seen all these comedy shows. I love going to comedy shows, and I just started all of a sudden started feeling like I could do it. And I was like, in the back of my head, I started rolling that idea around, like I could do that, I could do that, I could do that. And eventually, it got to the point where I was like, I'm going to do this. And so then I was like, all right. Then I really fucking made an effort of like, I'm fucking reaching out. And then I had a couple of friends that they do open mics and they do comedy shows. And so I kind of asked them, I was starting to ask them questions. Hey, what's with timing? What's with this? What, I'm really picking their brains about this. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? If you want to do this, why don't you just ask? I'm like, I'm trying to figure this out before I do it. And he's like, no, you have to do open mics to figure it out. Otherwise, should be sitting on your fucking hands. And so they booked me for, it's like open mics, you have to show up, sign in, all that stuff. My buddy told me, don't even bother signing in. I already signed your fucking name. You're good to go. Show up on this day. So I show up and, and it's great too. Cause like, when you go do open mics, you're doing open mics for comedians and family members that come. So, I got off stage and everyone was like, for your first fucking time, it feels like you already know what you're doing. And I'm like, well, I was trying to explain to people I do a podcast, and they're like, a podcast? And they're like, yeah, it gives me like, I talk to myself all the fucking time. I stare myself in my screen and I speak and I let it fly out. And that's kind of how I'm doing my comedy. So when you basically see me doing stand-up, it's going to be me doing my podcast, but in just a different format.
Well, it's just like the old saying where, if you're going to do a speech or something, you practice in front of the mirror a couple of times. And next thing you know, you get better at it. It's about finding a flow to it too. Like, I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
more you do it, obviously you're going to get more comfortable with it. You're going to find who you are. Like for me, comedies, even though people say like go do stand up or something, I don't think so. Only on the aspect of like, that's not my avenue. I don't feel like I want to do that. You know what I mean? I don't find enjoyment of doing that type of stuff. I just like talking to so many people and getting like, I call it selfish in a way. Like even you mentioned like the episode thing. That's selfish in my intent because all I'm really doing is asking the questions I want to ask, talking, having whatever chat I want to go with. But it's so simple to do that. And a lot of people don't. But once you start understanding and talking to so many people, your perspective goes from, I don't even know who the hell I am anymore. Like it's this whole aspect of like, what are my thoughts and what are another thoughts that I got in, because I can't have a thought anymore without thinking of what about if that person saw it that way. And it's just like this whole like, I'm not even out there. Like someone mentioned me, which was kind of insulting, was like, you're inspiring. It's like, I'm not inspiring anybody. Please, for the love of God, find a better,
Yeah.
inspiration. But the aspect of like, I'm trying to understand. And that is the best and probably one trait that a lot of people lack, is that fact of just trying to figure out where that other person is coming from.
And now here's a question for you. Um, I always reach out for guests. I kind of just DM them, and I always have people that I feel that are interesting. I feel people that I'm not saying inspiring, but people that are getting shit done, just like yourself. Because, like I said, you're literally fucking moving here. You got a lot of momentum, and it's like crazy because it's like, sometimes I have difficulty lining things up with people, and you're doing multiple podcasting, recordings a week. I'm assuming with that amount. What is usually your process of reaching out to somebody that you want to talk to, or how do you even find people that you were like, all right, I need to know about this?
It's not even that. Like people always say, like you talk to some interesting people. I'm like, if you just look, these are all just people. Like I might
Yeah.
title it like podcaster or geography or something that might sound like exquisite, but it's just an average person. You could be working at a museum, you could be working at whatever. I mean, I think the most I've done in a day is probably 18 recordings, about an hour each. And I gave
Damn.
like myself like a good 4 hour time period, 2 hours to work out,
Yeah.
and then, pee, eat
Yeah.
breaks, whatever the
All
hell.
that good stuff.
But it's I mean, it's just people. I just feel like I see a page, I see something I like, I want to talk to them about it. I think that's the thing, was like, do I want to sit here doing structured interview? And I was like, that's why I call it conversation, because like it's just talking. If you want to, like, there's episodes you'll click on that'll be like, whoa, astrophysicist. And then you click on it and it's all about like motivation. It's all about whatever it is. It's just whatever they're feeling at that moment. Because how many times you get in a situation and it's like a scavenger hunt to me, is when I get into a conversation, the first 5-10 minutes is trying to find that flow, trying to find that, where the hell is it going to go? But then you hit this weird jive, and the next thing you know, you're off and it's on something you didn't even have nothing lined up to. I always like to throw them off guard because I'm generally interested in the person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter who you are, if you're boxing shelves in a warehouse. I just want to chat with you, and then we click off on something. I think that's what you have to do, especially. I mean, you've been podcasting longer than I have, but it's just a concept of like, you have to enjoy what you're doing. If you get bored, then the audience is going to be bored, you know?
Yeah. No, which is the truth. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing too, is like, I've listened to quite a few of your podcasts already, and you can just hear the passion in your voice about doing this. You know what I'm saying? And it's just so, I'm not saying crazy, but it's just like, it's very impressive. That's what I'm going to say. It's very impressive because I'm just like, man, you can really dig it out of people, and it's having that sense that you're making people feel comfortable to the point where they're just like blurting all kinds of shit out, and it's fucking great. You know what I'm saying?
Well, even out of the how many episodes I've posted, I have like 80 that I've never posted and probably will never be able to post, just because someone said something they didn't feel what they were comfortable. I just had that happen last week. A dude didn't want me posting an episode, and we could talk off air because we both
Yeah.
know the guy. But
Oh yeah.
I was like, all right, man. Like I don't I do a lot of recordings in a day,
Yeah.
because I like to post every single day. I'm a bit of a podcast whore,
Yeah.
but it's just the idea of like, it's so easy just to have a conversation. And I credit all the people out there that post once a couple or once a week or something, because they got a lot more production that goes into mine. Mine, I literally just hit record and I don't edit, maybe besides putting my intro in the beginning, but
And
because
that's
it's
where
just natural.
we line up, because I do the exact same thing. Everything that everybody gets from me is 100% raw and uncut. If there's dead air, guess the fuck what you get? You getting dead air. All I do is nip off the beginning and the end just to make sure that I can insert my fucking intro and outro, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? And
The best is when you get a good sneeze. I just had that happen recently. I sneezed right at the beginning of it, and I was like, I'm keeping that in there. I was like, it was too perfect. Like, you got the stars you're seeing. It's like, all
yeah,
right, that's how you know you're feeling good.
that's it. That's how you know what I'm saying? That is exactly how you do it. It's just so fucking crazy. And then we've been DMing back and forth and stuff like that. And you happen to be into the alien, paranormal, Bigfoot section of me. And I'm saying, I'm just being vague on the Bigfoot and the paranormal. I'm just more of the alien, because so far that's what I've been able to get out of you. But with a lot of the documents they're getting ready to pull out, because you sent me a website and stuff like that, and you
It's
just
so
recently had,
depressing, dude. It's so depressing, man. If you read those documents, everything is redacted. But look,
and I
if
told you,
if you're the government and you're going to release alien shit,
yeah,
you release it on a site that looks like a nut job made it. And that is the smartest move they have ever done. But when you're looking through that thing and it's all redacted, and stuff. Yeah, you could pull out some things here, but it's like, man, I get it because it was all a factor. People didn't consider the thought of it's not about saving you, it's about your enemies.
Yep.
Because once you release that, your enemies are going to have your information. When I was talking
Exactly.
to my friend who's an astrophysicist, she was telling me, she goes, oh yeah, the US released their side of the documents. She had already gone through them.
Yeah.
Because they have different information that they'll never release to us, because over in America, we're just so prone on wanting to know about alien life, because I feel like if any alien species is going to come down here, they're probably going to hit America first on the
Oh, yeah.
concept of like, we've all seen Independence Day.
Yeah,
Come on now.
exactly. Now, and when you're saying that, I do feel that they would hit us first. Only reason they would hit us first, and the only reason they would try to attempt to get us first, is because, you know, it's not just being a superpower, but I just feel like we're producing the most amount of waves out there in the world of like sending shit out. You know what I'm saying? We're like the antenna of the world, because we're putting so much pollution out into space that where the fuck's this shit coming from? You know what I'm saying? China, the Europe, the UK, you know what I'm saying? You know, Asia is a big continent, but the thing is a lot of the people don't have a lot of the technology that they need to produce as much as we produce out here. You know what I'm saying? With shows, internet, Wi-Fi, you know what I'm saying? There is so much that we're just fucking throwing out there into the space. I feel like that's why we would be the first ones to be approached.
Well, let me toss this example at you. So if you're fishing, for instance, we got you sitting on a little dock with your fishing rod out there. Are you going to cast your line where there's a little trickle of like stuff popping out of the water? Or are you going to toss it where there's a giant ass splash coming out? And
Exactly.
that's how probably, if the aliens are looking down, they're like, okay, that is the loudest country I see on this planet that's making the most noise. It's putting the most out there. China locks their shit down, even though they
Oh
might
yeah.
be more successful and stuff, but they lock it down. So we don't really get any information. I mean, we just found out that they took over Hong Kong and like
Yep.
this low key thing. So like
Yeah.
America's out there, you know, double guns out in the air trying to like show everybody how
Exactly.
big we are.
You know what I'm saying? They want the big fish, so guess where they're fucking gonna come? You know what I'm saying? That's one of those things. Like that's one of the reasons why I know, or at least I feel, that we would be number one on that hit list for them to come down. And I'm not saying hit list as they're coming to kill us. I'm saying hit list as, oh, we need to show up here first. Because you know, when you go to amusement park, when you go to any kind of event, you want to do the big shit first. You know what I'm saying? I want to dive straight head first into some crazy shit. Well, guess the fuck what? Just like you said, 2 guns out, 40s in the hand, and let's do this.
What do you think though? Because like I've heard theories of like we came from Mars, where it was like an asteroid hit Mars, and then the particle dust floated down to Earth, and we evolved from those particles, and that's how they say that. Heard people say the reptile things. I'm open to it all, but I think the most believable to me is like imagine a species that created like a little species, like how we would create life or something, and instead just like drop these little particles on a planet, and they did it to multiple planets throughout the galaxy or throughout the solar system. And then we're the one that has evolved so fast because nobody can explain that of all the species on Earth, the human race is the one that has, in the past 20,000 years, evolved faster than any others. I mean, we became top predator. We've learned to destroy other things and that, but everyone is evolving in their own specific ways. Like
Yeah.
plants are evolving and stuff. And this is where like I mess around with Brad on the vegan aspect
Yeah.
of things, but it makes, like they say, killing an animal is murder because it has feelings. Well,
Yeah.
there was a time period in our history where it's called plant perception.
Yeah.
We were doing scientific studies of trying to see if plants had emotions.
Yeah.
So
Feelings, and if they're tied together,
who's to
they
say
do.
that who's to say that that's not like how the paranormal's on? Like I feel like we're all on different radio frequencies, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well,
Yeah.
imagine if 3 is seeing ghosts and that
Yeah.
spiritual plane existence type thing. Maybe 4 is plant perception, where it's like you can understand, like people talk about how they can feel plants' emotions and they seem like they understand what's going on half the time. I mean, if a certain type of bug is eating a piece of its leaves, it'll literally link to the other trees and let them know, hey, change the
Yeah.
flavor of your leaves so this bug will stop eating us.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you right now. Just on the aspect of we were, I can't remember the name, starts with a P, but panspermia. I'm 100% sure we were. I'm pretty sure we were distanced from Mars because of just the structures they have on there. But the thing is, Earth was blessed to be in the Goldilocks zone that we're in, because what it is there's microorganisms that we found on Mars. There's microorganisms in the moon. There's microorganisms in space. There's all these different things that are out and about. But the thing is we ended up just having the right spot where we can actually brew and cook, and cells and all that shit split. And I do believe that we came from the ocean, and once we came from the ocean, we just developed into the things. And I believe in the evolution that we have, but the thing is too is the evolution we had was just way too fast. So I definitely do believe that our genes were manipulated by the Anunnaki, that we've all, everyone hears about it, but the thing is I'm just saying Anunnaki because that's what most people understand, that's what most people get. But I'm just saying there's an alien race, we don't know what they're fucking called, they're bigger, they're giants. They saw an opportunity to change us, to create something as a worker slave, and we just got out of hand. You know what I'm saying? It's human nature to just fucking be violent. It's human nature just to get fucking crazy and get the fuck what we consume. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? And so once we got out of hand, they got what they wanted, they dipped the fuck out, and then we just started exploding from there. And that's just, that's what my perception is of this whole thing is. And and when you talk about the multiple verses, the multiverse, the interdimensions, just like I said, there is frequency links. You know what I'm saying? Because every so often you hear stories of people talking about, well, all of a sudden I started seeing this, and all of a sudden I started feeling this, and all of a sudden I was in a different fucking place. But the thing is we can switch through them. We just don't have the mental capability to do it. There are those that have the ability to glimpse into it. There's people that have had head injuries that all of a sudden they can see shit, they can hear shit, they can feel shit. Well, guess the fuck what? It's because they've been able to trigger that part of the brain where they can kind of glimpse into it. They don't have control of it. They can just see it. The same thing like psychic mediums and all this stuff. They are fishing, essentially to see into it. You know what I'm saying? They're just getting glimpses and motions from it. But the thing is they can't fully control it. I don't think I've ever seen anybody that can be like fully just immerse themselves into it, and that's one of those things I always talk about Bigfoot is I feel Bigfoot is an alien. I also feel that he's interdimensional. And the only thing is because I've seen plenty of videos out there, and I'm not talking about hoaxy videos. I skim through Bigfoot videos all the time. And when it's fake, I'll call it fake. When it's real, I'll call it fucking real. I'm just a straight shooter from the fucking hip. But the thing is, I've seen videos where it's just, and then gone, or in and then out. There's no reason for it. Technology works. Cameras don't fail. You know what I'm saying? People fail. There's reasons things fail. And the reason those things fail is because we're moving, we're doing. But the thing is, there's trail cameras out there that record, and it records. And then all of a sudden it loses 2 seconds. No, that's like one of those
you just
moments.
gave me the best idea in the world is
that?
Imagine if the aliens, like Bigfoot is an alien, but it's not just one, but it's a disguise. Like they can't replicate or clone the idea of what a gorilla looks like. So that's their shitty like Walmart version of the gorilla costume, and they come down here and that's what they're doing. So I don't think there's just one magical Bigfoot everybody talks about. I believe it's a species and it's a race.
100%.
But I believe like if they are aliens, hey, maybe they're messengers or something like that. Maybe they're brought down here to kind of like as surveillance or something to make sure we're doing okay. That's why we can never get like a good track on them. Or the interdimensional thing. Maybe it's like a spirit animal. You have to be high to kind of see it, this aspect of things. But it wouldn't explain the video cameras and stuff. But dude, imagine if we get to a point in the world where people start getting the Neuralink. It's going to be a thing. It's going to be like mandatory. Like, we've went from creating artificial life to just wanting to enhance our human capabilities to the full extent of putting it inside of us.
Exactly.
Imagine you ground your kid. You say you're grounded, no cell phone, no nothing. You sit in your room and you're not going to leave. They go, fine. And then you go up in their room and they're not there. And you're like, where did the kid go? Well, he's not in dimension A. He's in dimension B. And in dimension B, he's able to do whatever the hell he wants over there.
Exactly. Which is more than possible. And then I'm going to slip back because like with Bigfoot, one of those things is like they always talk about and this is all like biblical text and stuff like that. They always talk about watchers, those that were left by the gods to pay attention to us, to make sure that we didn't get out of hand. But the thing is I always felt Bigfoot was that. And he's like, you know what? I'm fucking good. This shit is fucking getting crazy. Motherfuckers are crucifying people. People are fucking murdering people. And they're trying to create this whole religion shit when it was just us. And so they're just like, you know what? I'm going to just step back into the fucking, back into the world and just be invisible. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those other things. It's like it's just left from the olden days. It's an old race that just does not want nothing to do with the garbage shit that we do.
That's why, like, if I could go back to a certain time period, I don't know which one I would want to go back to because I have so many questions on everything when it comes to biblical text, when it comes to all this stuff that's like, I like the idea of not having a final answer because I believe in life there are no definitive answers. Even in science, it gets exposed,
Yeah.
religion, it gets exposed. I
Yep.
believe if you think that this is the 100% answer, it's probably you're really shaming yourself because you're not having an open mind to things. But
Yeah.
if I could go back in time, dude, I would love to go back to like Leonardo da Vinci, see all his machines and stuff that he was creating. I'd love to go back and see what they were talking about. Did Jesus walk on water? Was he standing in a shallow
Yeah.
pool? But even the concept of Paul Revere, man, you're on that long ass horse ride and you tell me not once you stopped to take a dump in a bush or at any point you didn't take a pee at all.
Well, with all that moving, man, it definitely would make you. You know what I'm saying? For any of those who ride horses, understand that shit. If you got anything in your system, it's gonna definitely let you know.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, and then Benjamin Franklin, like, all right, here's my conspiracy talk time. I always love tossing these out here. And sometimes I tossed them out in an episode before where I actually made myself believe it. I was like, that actually could be a thing. But I was learning about Abraham Lincoln, his assassination and everything. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, the most obvious thing that people always point to is the fact that he did not die exactly when he was shot in the back of the head.
Yeah.
He actually lived 8 hours later
Yeah.
to create this Secret Service and everything. The bullet was just lodged back there and he slowly died.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, I was like, what happened around the time of the war where just this random fucking actor shot this dude in the back of the head? For
Yeah.
what reason? It couldn't be on war efforts because he was not even associated with the war. If anything, he was fighting the same side as Abraham Lincoln. They always bring it to a slave thing. No. Abraham Lincoln, like a month or so before, had went to the giant oil companies and all these major factories and
Yep.
asked for a bailout of cash for the war.
Yep.
And they said, okay, but you have to do this. No one, at least I don't know what exactly they asked of him. He said no, and he started printing off his own money. And that's why we have our money as greenbacks.
Yeah.
Then he gets shot, what, two weeks to a month later by a fucking actor? I'm like, all right, hold on a second.
Exactly.
And then not even after that, John Wilkes Booth's brother was almost hit by a car. His kid was almost hit by a car. And I'm like, that sounds like that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Understand that cars back then went like 5 fucking miles an hour.
You know
So
what
if
I'm
you're
saying?
somebody's steering at you at that
Exactly.
point.
At that point in time, you know what I'm saying? There's no not paying attention right there. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. Have you ever seen Abraham Lincoln Vampire Killer?
I saw that before I saw Lincoln, and I can tell you that was a better film.
That was a way better film. Let me tell you something right now. That's the imagination of Abraham Lincoln that I'd love to keep. You know what I'm saying? I know it's not real. I know it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's a movie. But that's the version that I'm going to stick with because I just feel Abraham Lincoln would have been a badass like that. You know what I'm saying? Cutting down vampires, knocking down trees, splitting all kinds of shit. You know what I'm saying?
I can agree with you there. But if you look at any of our presidents and you look at some of the stuff they do, like a lot of this hidden history stuff that's coming out, I really wish they would include in the textbooks. Like 1939, before we went to war with the Nazis, I think it was Truman. He was about to, I think, publish a article or a document that was talking about the search for alien life. And then he got drafted, became the ambassador, and then got drafted into the war with the whole, like he was more focused on war efforts before that document could ever be released. And I'm like, hang on a second. Like, I'm starting to really like our presidents because they're talking, like they're dropping us hidden messages.
Oh yeah, no, they are, man. There's so many presidents that are like, I'm gonna fucking find out. Well, guess the fuck what? As soon as they find out, and as soon as they become president, or whatever incident happens, you know what I'm saying? They just get almost deplatformed and then put into the presidency to fucking shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? It's so fucking crazy. It's like dangling the biggest fucking carrot in their fucking mouth, in their fucking face. They're like, oh, you want to release something? Well, guess the fuck what? You want this? No.
I want someone to. I mean, the ones we have now kind of suck, in my opinion.
And
I mean,
it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes, you know what I'm saying, we're just stuck. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is like, and this is what I see. I don't know if you're on TikTok, but I follow TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I put videos on TikTok. And it's just some of the most craziest, funniest shit to watch. And the algorithm really gets you. But the thing is I was watching one and it was talking about the guy was sitting there like pondering, like, oh my fucking God. And then Gen Zs are going to be the one producing commercials in 10 years. And I'm sitting there like, and so then he made a like in the thing, it was a commercial of Subways with a cat just meowing the whole time. And so you got to imagine there's gonna be a fucking president that's a Gen Z eventually, and it's just like, oh God, hope I'm not alive for that.
I fight the fight with the millennials on the aspect of like I think they're so outrageous because they're trying to make up for what I would call lost time. Like when you see like I don't want to hate on the feminists here, but when you see a feminist freaking out about all these types of things, it's because for so long you didn't have that, and then
Yeah,
now you're trying to make up for lost time. So that's what millennials are trying to do. They're getting blasted with everything from the media saying, "Hey, this world is going to explode tomorrow," and you're like, "Oh my God, I got to do the best I can to fix it." But there's a rational aspect of things too.
mhm,
Like I see their point. But even then, I look at them, I'm like, you're giving us a bad fucking name when it comes to the aspect. You got to calm the hell down. Don't
yes,
paint half your head pink in the idea that animal slaughter is wrong or something. I'm like, hang on a second. Like, we still have, there's bigger issues I would like to focus on. Put the alien things aside.
yeah,
I want to focus on the homeless population. Why the fuck is there so many homeless people when we have food that expires and on that day they throw it out? You can make them sign something. They're homeless.
yeah.
They don't care if it gets them sick. They need food. And most of the time, that food lasts longer past the expiration date. But you sit there and people throw it in the fucking trash and they watch you jump in the dumpster and get it,
Oh yeah,
knowing you're going to. I don't like that. I mean, I got salmonella off a box of fucking Honey Smacks. You don't see me bitching about Honey Smacks. No,
exactly.
anything. I sent them a letter telling them, please sponsor me. I got sick from your cereal and I still eat your shit.
You know, and that's one of those things too, is like I live in California and the homelessness is fucking ridiculous, but the thing is it's just like one of the things that they brought up during this whole presidency thing is like, we're receiving stimulus checks. I'm not saying no to the stimulus checks. I'm going to take the stimulus checks, but the thing is with all that was brought up about where the money's coming from and where the money's going, they're like, we're sending all this money overseas. Fuck, we got our own issues here. We got our own problems here. What about all those fucking billions and trillions of dollars actually helping people to reestablish themselves, not just fucking like with programs that are sponsored by grants that fucking don't pay for nothing. You know what I'm saying? People barely have the ability to help. And the thing is like one of the things I'm talking about doing this year is picking um what the fuck's it called? Not pick. I'm going to basically pick a cause, and then I'm going to sponsor a cause. I'll reach out to them, stuff like that. I've been thinking about doing for like shelters or some kind of
Pick
animal.
one that doesn't get any attention. Like
Well,
I would like to.
there's plenty
I
of
always
them.
said if. Well, I'm about to say I was always like if I was gonna be rich, like if I had billions of dollars,
Yeah,
like it's kind of what upsets me about Conor McGregor buying $1 million watch. I'm like,
yeah,
you look, I get it, you're balling, but still, come on now, like worry
yeah,
about people too. I would want to donate to like the charity for people that can't see the color red or something, like
yeah.
something fucking crazy, insane that nobody ever wants. Like I don't care about that. It's like I want to donate to them.
Yeah, see, like, I'm a dog lover, and I have a pit bull, and it just always drives me nuts on how badly they're mistreated and misrepresented in the media and any aspect. There's places that pit bulls are banned. You can't in the United States where you can't even own one, and it's just
I'm
all a
surprised
bad
you still have a
publicity.
face, Ben.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And and so I'm kind of like kicking around the idea of like I'm not a huge platform, but I am a platform, and I'm more willing to throw stuff out there. But and it's just like with all this money that's being thrown around, and yet we can't even solve our own issues or solve our own problems. And we have tent cities over here. They basically like they if there's an inch of space, like here I'll put this. I live pretty close to Oakland. My brother's right there in Oakland. There's an island in the middle of a road, and it's literally got like 6 or 7 tents, and then one giant tent with a garage. You know what I'm saying? And it's just there, and I'm just like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying?
Like I'm not getting my stimulus just because I had my information in the whole IRS thing is set to my like old address from like 3 addresses ago.
Yeah,
So they never updated. So trying to get it is way more of a hassle than trying to like just wait for it to come.
yeah,
So I'll probably get it like next year maybe. But if you look at that document of what was being sent overseas, Pakistan, it was a gender studies. I
yeah.
was like, why the fuck are we focused on that right now when the big thing here is that people are starving on the side of the street right
Exactly.
now?
Freezing to death, all this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
And then we punish them on
Yeah.
the aspect of like there was that in San Francisco or something, there was a whole bunch of homeless people that were arrested because what they did was they set up they took power from a nearby power line. They
Yeah.
modified it and we're taking power from that. I'm like, give that dude a fucking Nobel Prize. I can't even do that shit. Why are we going to condone or we're going to lock up intelligence? Like you
Yeah.
wouldn't do that if that was an Elon Musk thing, but since they cheated the system and they found this type of thing,
Yep.
what the hell?
Yeah, and that's one of those things too. Is like I said, it's just so crazy because there's a percentage of homeless people that are in that situation because, first of all, minimum wage doesn't fucking pay for nothing in the Bay Area. You know what I'm saying? You barely fucking make. If you make minimum wage, you need to have at least 3 to 4 people living with you in your own place, all making minimum wage, to be able to afford what is affordable. You know what I'm saying? A 1-bedroom apartment around here is like almost $2,500. You know what I'm saying? A month. A month. It's fucking insane. Where I used to live, you know what I'm saying? I was there for, man, I lived there for basically 33, 35 years. And all of a sudden the owner sold the property, didn't tell anybody. And then the new owners came in like, hey, I'm going to remodel and then I'm going to up the rent. And not just up the rent, but like almost fucking like triple it. And it's just like, the fuck, I've been living here for how fucking long? And then all of a sudden you got to do some shit. It's just so fucking insane. Like I said, and I make good money. You know what I'm saying? In that moment in time, it was just me, my 3 kids living in our place. And it's just like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so fucking crazy. Like how like it's so hard for us to be set up. You know what I'm saying? They're like, let's raise the minimum wage. Let's do this. I'm like, no, why don't you raise it per how much the fucking, this shit costs, or give some kind of fucking housing limit. Like, hey, you can only charge this much. You're making so much fucking profit. Cause like a lot of the houses here were bought at 50 to fucking like $60,000, maybe $100,000 at the most for like a fucking huge mansion house. And then basically most of the majority of the houses are, and these are all the old houses too. So they're all paid off. And so they're just making $3,000 a month for rent. You know what I'm saying? And just pocketing that shit. There's a lot of new houses, a lot of newer, because a lot of the houses that were bought were like under $200,000 at a certain level. And then once that big market fucking happened, boom, all of a sudden houses are worth a fucking $500,000, $1 million. And these are they're like, I don't know if you ever see on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever, where they're showing this is how much a fucking condemned house costs, $1 million in California. That's basically how that shit really, really is. It's fucking insane. I seen a plot of land in Hayward with a fucking literal fucking just burnt down house go for $800,000. The people just came in, bulldozed it, and built a new fucking house for $800,000. You know what I'm saying? How fucking crazy is that shit? It's just like, and then people wonder why people are fucking homeless, because they can't afford to live. You know what I'm saying? It's just mind fucking blowing.
Yeah, people down here are complaining about like kids still living with their parents at like I'm 23. I still live with one of my parents, so
Yeah.
it's like, but rent down here is $1,500 a month without utilities. That's just the average cost. And I'm like, first of all, I don't have a job that can do that $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I live in a beach town, and the weirdest thing was like the only arguments I've ever gotten in my entire life, the only things I fight like 100%, even I wouldn't even call them arguments. I would just call them like, it's really hard to not agree wholeheartedly with this, is the idea of like free lunches for kids.
Yeah.
I think that should be a thing.
Mandatory.
But apparently like I got into a conversation one time. It was not, he was like, no, I don't think that's stupid.
That's a fucking idiot. If he doesn't feel like a kid needs to fucking eat.
That's what I'm saying. Like I've been there where I've been hungry at school, and I've, I needed that. Like that feeling of stomach pain is something you never want a little kid to experience.
Ever.
And then 2 would have to probably be the lockdown situation I got into. And it does get serious when people talk about lockdowns. I see the person's point of view of that it should be locked down for safety reasons, but also much like we talk about weightlifting in your episode on my podcast, I had a gym I was going to every single day for 8 years. Even during the coronavirus, when we were locked down, it was a $5,000 fine to leave your home. But I would work out at 1:00 in the morning. So I'd go there. I had the key to my gym. I'd open it up and I'd work out and stuff. Well, that owner, they had transferred owners, and the new owners couldn't apply for the benefits package or benefits for the coronavirus. So they lost their business, and that gym shut down, and they sold all their equipment, which I ended up buying a few pieces and putting in my garage.
Nice.
But it was that I lost, like, for when it comes to the only thing I always in my life, just like in my podcast, I try and be consistent.
Yeah.
means I always post an episode every day. And same thing, I always work out every single day, because
Yeah.
the only person that can stop me from doing that would be myself.
Yep.
Eventually, the coronavirus hit, and then that was taken away from me. So it was really, really hard to be like, wow, I can't even do what I've been doing for 8 years every single day. And the next thing you know, losing that business and everything like that was very, very hard for me to watch. It was like a piece of me got torn where I was lost. I'm still
Yeah.
lost, but it was like this aspect of like, trying to understand that you can't just shut everything down, because people's livelihoods are literally on the line of they need to work, they need to do these things. So those are the only two things, free lunches and that, where I kind of fight this side of like, you have to see the rationality of you. People need to make their own decisions in life, whether they're good or bad.
Yep.
They have the right to, because that's who you are. That's your
Yeah.
rights as an American. But during the coronavirus, when everything started locking down, people started realizing how much power they had in their own life. Like, how much is it actually yours, and how much is it the government telling you? And it
Yep.
was like, whoop, there goes the anarchy bone in me. That's like, all right, time to start going against authority.
And that's how it goes too. You know what I'm saying? You put people in situations where they're out of their comfort zone. Well, guess the fuck what? Everyone people are gonna start ruffling the feathers. People are gonna start talking. People are gonna fucking be like, nah, I don't agree with this. This fucking sucks. This fucking blows. What? And that's what you get. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things, and like the United States is just a fucking powder keg, really ready to fucking go. We've had a couple of little eruptions, but I definitely feel it could be bigger. I definitely feel it could be, a lot more shit going on. But the thing is it's so fucking insane. And, just how you're talking about, like, going to the gym and doing the training and getting these episodes out. It's that comfort that we get to have. And once it's taken away, that's what changes our aspect and our outlook on things. Cause they're just like, what, it's no one can tell me what to fucking do. And then all of a sudden I got the government saying, nope, shut it the fuck down. And I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to look at the positive about like what did the whole entire coronavirus thing like open up inside of you, because a lot of people I think found themselves a little bit. I mean, I I came to the conclusion like it was a gym addiction I had. Like I mean, I'm still addicted to it. I still work out every day,
Yeah.
2 hours a day, but it was an aspect of like sometimes I'll cut it early if I want to go home and podcast, or if I want to do something, or if I want to just, not be there anymore, because it came to the point where I was like, wow, every day I was looking at the infines of a gym 2-3 hours a day. And even though that is cool, if you're loving what's doing, you love working the weights
Yeah.
and stuff, but it's also about living a life too. Like I want to travel when things hopefully open
Oh
back
yeah.
up. I got so many people I talk to from around the world. I'm going to go visit these people and be like,
Yeah.
hey, let's fucking grab a slice or something. You know
That's
what I mean?
it. No, that's one of those things too. Is like, when you're spending that time, and I just did a podcast yesterday on it. It's actually mitigating your time, making time to do what you want. I mean, just like you said, you have a gym addiction, but the thing is that addiction helps. That addiction calms. That addiction puts you in the mood to be able to do other things. And so it lets you know that's a jumping point. This is my jumping point. This is the part that helps me succeed in life. And so guess the fuck what I do? I succeed. I get these 2 hours in. Whether I need to do 2 hours or not is completely dependent on my day, because I make time for what I'm doing. And when you make that
It is
time,
early though, but have you worked out yet?
no, I literally had my cup of coffee, sat down, and started recording this with you because, pretty soon I'm gonna go take my dog for W. Can't say the real word.
I, I was about
You
to say,
know,
because I give you credit for that, man, because that's something I could never do. I work out 3 o'clock in the morning. Like if I don't, if that's not the first thing, or I can't even do the
oh
podcast. I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
do anything.
Oh yeah, no, like being as old as I am, I got to have at least 2 cups of coffee in me. I got to stroll because just like how you said you got things you do. I have 2 cups of coffee. I post at least 10 to 20 pictures a day on Instagram. After I post those pictures or do whatever, because I also run another site for my network. It's SIP Network on Instagram. And I check the other podcasters. I check in with them like, hey, what have you posted? What are you posting? Do you have art? And then I'll post it and then tag people, do hashtags, all that stuff. And then I get all my social media out of the way, check what's going on in the news. And then as soon as I put my socks and my shoes on, and then all of a sudden my dog starts getting ready to fucking, like, he knows what's happening. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
it's been engaged, shoes are on. And then, I'll take him for a walk around the block and then come home, work out, after I work out, do some more cardio on my bike. And then, I have a TV in my garage, watch YouTube, watch movies, try to get at least another hour, 30 minutes to an hour in after I work out.
I like that. I have a cycle bike in my room, and I watch Deadpool 1 and 2, and then the third season of Rick and Morty all in a day. Just cycling the whole time. I burned
Oh,
like
yeah.
8,000 calories. Then I
Easily.
ate a whole giant family-sized thing of animal crackers, and just that was all my progress gone. But
Yeah.
I didn't care. It was good,
Man,
dude.
but that's the thing though too, is you got to be able to splurge when you do those things, because that's how I do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all fucking human. I'm dialed in on a diet, but the thing is I'm not competing, and I'm not doing anything that's gonna fucking be like, oh my god, I'm completely no. I'm gonna fucking enjoy my life. I'm gonna eat some good shit, and that's why I put in this hard fucking work.
Yeah, you had that picture you put up yesterday of like the chicken on the grill. Dude, before this podcast, I put my chicken in the oven for an hour 45. So it like, I mean, I don't know how much time is left, probably like maybe an hour left on it or something like
Yeah.
that. But I like that shit burnt, dude. I like it when it's like, like people are like, that's way too long. I'm like, no, because I like it when it's not soft like a sock. If it's
Yeah.
soft like a sock, that's disgusting.
Well, there's different ways to cook things. Like, usually when I do, I only like to grill my chicken because I just like that char taste, and it makes it a lot more palatable to me. So like, I'll usually I'll get a whole chicken breast. I'll cut off the tender, and then I slice the breast in half, and then usually about 10-15 minutes completely cooked. You know what I'm saying? And I just picked up this new seasoning. There's a guy down the street from here. He's called Bacon Raider, and he makes the best brisket, the best pulled pork. Like, this guy, he made me a sandwich actually, and this is and he used to sell it in his before the whole Corona. He used to sell it in the restaurant, and what it was 2 St. Louis ribs, bones pulled out. It was pulled pork, slices of brisket, bacon, coleslaw, cheese, and then another St. Louis rib on top, deboned, and that was the sandwich.
Dude, I'm not, like I said, the reason I don't fight the vegan thing here is because I'm not a red meat eater. I'm a fish guy. I live in a fish town, so it's everything's sushi for me. But my buddy, how close are you to Sacramento?
I'm only 30 minutes away.
My buddy Caesar makes a really good hot sauce out there by you, man. I'll tell him to hit you up, man.
Definitely.
Dude, me and him created a sauce on his episode of my show, man. Like,
okay.
It's a good, very tasteful, good barbecue sauce, man. Like, that's just something like, that's why, like, the people that have been on my podcast are the only products I buy. Like, I mean, I have a whole shelf where I look over here. You'll see me in my videos if I look off to the side.
Yeah.
I got all of them on a shelf, man. It's just, you meet amazing people doing just average people doing their thing, just trying to make their hustle and thing. And that's what I really enjoy the aspect of it. I think this can all be pretty friendly, but much like you probably know with the podcasting industry, it's a competition with a lot of people out here. I mean, I've gotten things where I've had podcasters from the West Coast that were like, that's not what we do over here. We're going to promote the show all the way until it gets released. And I'm like, then you're putting pressure on me to release it. That's why I was like, I record so much that it's like I'm booked out till middle of February. I don't need to record, but I like still getting in them chats and still having them conversations and stuff too, just so I can always post. But some people are like, no, I want it posted the next day. I'm like, bro.
Yeah, no, that's the thing too, is like, I haven't run across that yet, but like I said, we all post on our own schedules. And that's how this works. And if someone were to try to dictate to me how to do, I'm like, guess the fuck what, bro. Block. Don't fucking bother calling me. Don't bother talk all the shit you want, because nobody tells me what to fucking do, especially with my own fucking show. If you want to promote something already, go, guess what? I can't control your social media, but this is how I operate on my end. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people just fucking don't fucking get it.
Well, people want, for me, I don't have a podcast network because I can't do it. If you want, as a friend, to reach out and you want me to put something up on my story, I'll 100% do it.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact of always constantly promoting, I post and then I'm done throughout the rest of the day. And I started that about a month and a half ago because when you start realizing the follower count, when you're watching that number and you're trying your best and do all these, I've had podcasts that go onto mine and then follow everybody on mine and then unfollow them once they follow them. I'm like, that's already too weird chess manipulation shit, clingy stuff. I'm like, I'm done. I don't ever want to experience that. And when I started noticing how much time I was spending on my phone, I was like, nah, fuck it. I need to, I'll do it to get guests and that's it. If people want to find it, follow it, whatever, I don't care.
And that's how it goes. Let me tell you right now, people always be like, hey, I'm going to follow you. And I always warn them. I'm like, look, if you follow my page, I'm only going to be on your page. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, I post a lot. So if you, and I always tell people, I was like, look, if you follow me, cool. If you don't follow me, I'm not stressed off it because I know what I do. I'm not saying I purposely do it, but I destroy people's timelines of nothing but what I post. And I post because my Instagram page is a meme page. And so like I sprinkle my podcast, my memes, and my family stuff all in my feed. So like I literally just got over 30K posts in my fucking in my Instagram. You know what I'm saying? And I've had people like I had to turn notifications off. I'm like, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Understand that I do what I do, and I'm a completely different beast when it comes to social media because I developed my own way of doing things. And I've had people in the industry be like, hey, this is how the algorithm works. This is how this works. So, I just started using what they showed me on how to post, when to post, and what to post. And my social media just grew from there. And you know what I'm saying? And like sometimes I'm surprised on how many people actually follow me because of how much I fucking post, It's just fucking crazy.
Like if I talk to you, I talk to you. But if someone messages me saying, "Hey man, you didn't like a couple of my posts," I'm like, dude, I'm rarely on my phone.
Yeah.
Like I play Dragon City out of everything. That's the one game I think I've spent more money in than this fucking podcast. Like that's the thing for me too, is like people always ask like, where can I support? Where can I do this? I don't have a Patreon. I don't have any of that because at one point in my life, I was made fun of for being annoying, and I never thought anybody would want to hear me talk. So I'm always going to keep my content free because I don't want to do this professionally. I gave up a radio gig to do this. You know what I mean? Like I could have my own show, but I was like, I'm good. My parents own radio stations, and I was just like, that's not me. I want to build this up the way and see it grow how I want to grow, just like a baby. But this isn't what I want to do for a living. I mean, it'd be cool, whatever, sure, but I would rather try and find myself. You know what I mean? What the hell do I want to do? Whether it's like going bodybuilder like I used to back in the day where I was working out twice a day and just getting insane with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm having fun right now, so I can't complain.
No, and that's how this is supposed to be done. Like I said, when I first started podcasting, I didn't know what the fuck. And then, once I started doing it, I'm like, I actually like this. You know what I'm saying? Like whether I was paid to do it or not, well, I have the ability to say whatever the fuck I want and post it. And if people happen to like it, great. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the craziest part is like just like you said, like I like doing this. I'm doing it my own way. And that's exactly how we're supposed to do it. Everybody's different in their own podcast, their own way, how they post, how they fucking share, how they ever do whatever they do. It is just that we find it fun in our own way. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing this to be famous. There's fucking millions of podcasts out there. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that we're going to be that one. We're not the next Joe Rogan. We're just ourselves and enjoying it. And we have a nice little bubble that we get to fucking just lay in. You know what I'm saying? It's the greatest fucking part.
I do it because I get to meet people like you that end up like, I mean, I know we didn't meet too long ago, but it's a whole like aspect of like just cool people, people don't mind chatting with back and forth.
Exactly.
And then I also enjoy the aspect of like, it is from the start of this thing to where I'm at now, my intelligence it's fucking, I say it ruined me because like now I'm always just like constantly like, but back in the day, if you would have told me like this, I would have been like, no, it's this, no, it's this, no, it's this. Now I'm just like, oh my God, like nobody knows anything. Like there could be a giant bird in the sky making all our decisions on a fucking notepad.
Yeah, which that's how it goes sometimes. All right, brother. Let's see. We're sitting at, it doesn't even tell me a count. I just see what time it is. But let the people know where they can find you.
Google it.
Google it. You heard him. He'll Google it. You Google it. I'll put them in the show notes so you can Google it yourself. You know what I'm saying? And with that, I'm the Angry Dad. You want to watch my shit? IGTV, YouTube. You want to see shit? Spreaker, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, SoundCloud, Deezer, iHeartRadio. This motherfucker's everywhere. You can easily fucking find it. Rate, review, like, subscribe, all that bullshit. Part of the SIP Network, a slightly irregular podcast network. Group of powerful podcasters out there sharing our shit. SIPnet.us, Network SIP on Twitter, SIP Network on Instagram. Get yourselves hooked the fuck up, all that fucking shit, and we'll see y'all motherfuckers on the next one.
I need to get a clip of you doing that, but like in a bidding auction where it's like $1, $2. Who are you bullshitting? Who are you bullshitting?
And that's how that goes.
Always living.